Well, here we are, Rise Up Nation, back for another episode of Rise Up in Real Estate. We're doing a live stream here. We are in a lot of several places. Welcome, welcome. Oh, wow, we just switched places, Vince.
It's weird.
Man,
it's weird this side. I got here first, so it puts me on that side, but that's your side.
No, you should be here first. This beard is out of control, man. I've been out of town, and the person's gone. It's just crazy. Ashley, how are you this morning? Good morning.
I'm doing great, Tad, but did not get the memo to start growing my beard in early enough, or I would have done it.
Yeah, well, if you're like anybody else, it won't take long. You just, you got to keep it trimmed around the edges. That would be quite a statement. I remember what that made me think of was the Greatest Showman.
Great flick.
Oh yeah, one of our favorites. The kids love that thing. Well, Rise Up Nation, welcome back. We're here with an episode. As you probably know, we're in coastal South Carolina. Vince, can you hear me okay? I don't have the same microphone. Good. Okay. We're in coastal South Carolina. What we do here is a live stream for the actual podcast recording. Today, we're going to be on for whatever time it takes to get these thoughts across. And then next Monday, the episode will go on to all the podcast channels like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, etc. This one today, actually, if you wanted to go to Spotify after this, you could find us with our interview with Lawton, Alina, and Suzanne from last week, which is really a great one. I thought it was the most engaging one we had done in quite some time, Vince. I'm sure you agree. It was really cool. I like your shirt, by the way, Vince. That's quite an advertisement. I hope Allie's on here today to get a chance to see that.
I know that Allie's one of our watchers as well, but here's the deal. If you're out there and you've got merch or swag and you want it to be worn, I'm your guy. I am in and out of the coffee shops. I'm all over town. I'll rep you. I will rep your brand. So Allie Ferrari, shout out. Thanks for the Under Armour. Had to rock it today live.
Yeah, that's cool. So I had the opportunity this morning, just real quickly. I drove from Myrtle Beach area to Somerville for this. I had to make it here by 10, trying to make it here by 10. I was on two wheels. I ran by Jennifer. I'm not sure she even knows I'm in here. Found a spot that's really kind of nice where I'm sitting. But today is very, like on the way here, I was listening to lots of different things. This is what I do. I was listening to Tom Ferry. I was listening to Ricky Carruth. I was listening to Jared James. I was listening to a little bit of my favorite show with Pat McAfee. And all of them are saying now is the time to get ready for 2025. And so I thought last week, what a great opportunity for us here at our organization. We have someone special, Ashley Lamborn, who is our director of agent development. And this is probably Ashley's most important time of the year. So I asked Ashley, let's come on the show and talk a little bit about what it means to business plan, life plan, business consult. We can call it a lot of different things. I'm sure Vince will do that because we get very philosophical when we talk about this stuff.
Words matter.
But, and words matter, even though I'm saying a whole bunch of them. But I wanted to dive in. Ashley, why don't you, just for the people that are watching that might not know you. Oh, and by the way, if you're out there in listening land and you want to throw a comment or question to us, you can do that. And it shows up as a banner, and we'll address all of those as we go along. But Ashley, tell us a little bit about yourself, like your history, how you got here today, maybe where you were born, where you went to college, what other jobs did you have, and then how you ended up here in this great place with us. Tell us. Welcome, Ashley. Give us a little bit of background.
All right. Well, thank you, Tad. First piece of background is that you can put me at the front of the classroom and I have everything prepared and I'm ready to go. Throw me in front of a live podcast. And if you could tell how fast my heart is beating right now, it would be off the charts. So we're going to do the best that we can here. But I grew up in Pennsylvania, so outside of Philadelphia, a little town called Kennett Square. It was very rural and had snow all the time in the winter and really beautiful, beautiful rolling countryside and just loved it. And then I went to Virginia Tech for college, studied biology and chemistry, ended up working for a biotech company right out of college, loved it. So I've been very fortunate to have three very different careers and I have loved every single one of them. It doesn't give me a chance to get bored in any of them, I guess. So worked for a DNA lab and in the background, I have always coached gymnastics. I've always worked with kids. I fit it in everywhere that it could possibly fit in my schedule. competitive traveling teams all the way to preschool, whatever it was. And I had the opportunity to open up my own gym when I was in Virginia. So I did that. I was 24 when I opened my gym and made the switch from the biotech company into my own business full time. Ran that for several years, ended up with family in South Carolina. My sister had kids. The whole family was headed this way. So I packed up and headed over, also sold my portion of the business to my partner that I had opened the gym with. Got here, started coaching. Fun fact, I coached with Mandy's sister, Christy, for a long time. And that is how I know really you and Mandy, was just being introduced to the family, being friends with Christy, coming around. I did that here for, I guess, a decade, and then made a switch into real estate, was ready for something different. Did it about, my license came in maybe 8 days before COVID hit, so that was a little scary, but ended up being the perfect time to get into the business. And I think I was in about 6 months, and you maybe had a moment of insanity and sat me down for lunch and said, do you want to do this other role? So I said, sure, why not? And started down this path where I get to now help other agents build business and be intentional and, really live their abundant life. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
Yeah. So 4 or 5 years you've been doing real estate then, really, since 2020. Is that when you got licensed?
Yep.
So this will be, for those of you that are listening, I mean, this hasn't been a lifetime career for you. It is, you are learning as you go. You're a fast learner. I have been just blown away, impressed with just your willingness to try anything and your can-do attitude. I thought those things were true about you, but when you came on in the director's role, it has really proven itself to be way more. And I say this sometimes, like I say this about Rennie, say it about Vince. Sure, I'm going to say it about Tracy, who's just joined us. I say it about Harmony, all of us, that you exceed expectations every day. So we appreciate you very much. And the role that you're doing is a big one. Now, I don't even know how, we can talk about that in a minute, but like how you put your mind around being the director of agent development. No pressure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and for someone who wasn't even a real estate agent that long, really, in her own right, and then you have not just 10 people that you are not responsible for, but that you kind of do this role for, it's got to be overwhelming a little bit. Is that right? And why are you nervous? You're never nervous. Like, you're the queen of comedy. You're the queen of one-liners. You're the queen of jokes.
I'm always nervous. It's just, I'm like the duck on the surface, right? That's what people normally see, but underneath, I'm just paddling like hell. I hope I can say that on here because I just did.
Internet, you can say whatever you want.
So
we have editing capabilities. We can take that out if it offends anyone. Just kidding.
Words matter.
Yes, words matter. Yeah, it can feel heavy at times, but thank you for saying that. I'm ready to just dive in, but I feel like that's the culture that's surrounding me. I'm not sure I would be that way if I wasn't surrounded by the team that I'm surrounded by. So I feel like I'm given enough flexibility to kind of take on new challenges and feel okay if not all of them come off perfect, and then figure out how to make it better the next time. But to have so many agents reaching out, wanting to set up their plans for the next year, coming into the classroom to learn and grab on to everything that they can. Sure, that can feel heavy sometimes because you really want for them to succeed. And part of that is in our hands, but it's not just mine alone. It's everybody on this team. So.
Right. A group of directors working in the same. And Vince, that's what I wanted you to comment on a little bit too, as we go on, is what is it like being a director side by side with Ashley? Talk a little bit about expectations, accountability, that cute picture of your kids behind you, all those things.
Yeah. It's man, Ashley's a different. She's just built different, right? So if you know me, you know one of my passions is high performing teams and leadership and things like that. So I, a lot of the times think, throughout my work day, like, I know Ashley's on top of this. I know she's getting her stuff done, and she doesn't know she's giving me accountability, but she is, because I know she's on it. She's actually probably too on it at times, where I'm like, hey, if you're off work, you're off work. I sent that in an email to her last week. Like, why are you emailing us? I'm on a cruise in December. Don't email me. Right. So she definitely lifts the whole team up. And you don't even know this, but when I think about you, I think, man, I'm gonna work a little harder because I know Ashley's out there doing it. It's the right thing to do. So yeah, it's just, when someone puts their money where their mouth is, it just doesn't get much better than that.
Right. And there was a time where, like, with everybody, I think there's a time where you are watching, like we all watched Ashley. How is she going to perform? We talked about John Gordon quite a bit, and having the right people on the bus. The Energy Bus is a great read if you want a 10-minute read, but have the right people on the bus. But then finding the right seat on the bus is where performance really happens, like he talks about. And we were all watching at first. Where's Ashley gonna? Because if you remember, actually, the way this all unfolded, it seemed like maybe forced a little bit in a way, but it was actually opportunity leading us to exactly where we needed to be, in my opinion. And then how's Ashley going to do? How's she going to handle it? Is she going to be? That's the way we all are. I'd say same way with Vince. Is he gonna rise to the occasion? Is he going to be what I think he is? Because we all interview well, right? We all answer. Most of us answer the right questions in the interview process, but for you were a family friend, which was nerve-wracking. Like, I've got to like you at first because my wife, right? And now you're going to fit in this team of high-performing individuals. How's Ashley going to do? Well, it's been amazing. It really has. And I just want you guys to understand that when we bring someone on the show, it's important. It's not just because I needed to fill a spot. There's a lot of people that want to be on the show that haven't been on the show yet, but to have Ashley right now at this time of year, I think is super good, because here we are. Usually I talked to an agent this past week at another organization, and she said, we haven't even mentioned business planning yet. And, I don't even like to call it business planning, right? Because words matter. I think it's overused. I think it's beat to death. But for us, it's like the foundation of what we do. Vince and I talk about this a lot, don't we, Vince? Like, what should it be called? Because when you call it business planning, it's like that makes that the most important part of it. And I don't know if it is. It's the chicken or the egg. Like, right? Is the life part more important or the business part more important? Actually, talk to me a little bit about, like, as you discovered this part of our organization and you figured it out now in your head, because it's crystal clear. I mean, you should see. I hope you guys will take advantage of the things that she provides you. But how did it unfold in your mind as you were discovering it? Because you were an entrepreneur in your own right. Like, you owned a gym. You said some fancy stuff about DNA and like bio something. I mean, I thought you were saying bad words. I wasn't sure, but you're super smart. But how did the business development or business consulting, how did it unfold in your mind? Did you understand it right away? Was there a process to it? Help me see how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, well, if I'm going to be totally transparent, I avoided it when I started as an agent. I didn't want to sit down and crunch the numbers and figure out what it cost to live and do all those budgeting pieces that nobody likes to take a look at. But I'll tell you, both of you have co-taught the class with me on, we call it the life you choose. And the piece that resonates with me the most is for people who do this business or any business to understand that the biggest difference in what you get to do by being an entrepreneur is that you get to decide what kind of life you want to live. And then you just have to figure out, what do you have to do every day in order to be able to live that life? So that's the life you choose. That's living in abundance. Instead of just working somewhere where you're given a number that you earn and then you fit a life into that number. So that to me was just like this aha moment. And now all of a sudden I was willing to sit down and pull together my financials. And I wanted to know, what does this look like for me to live a life that I've never sat down and really looked at or dreamed about. It was just, here's what I earn working for this person. And so now here's the life that can fit into that. And then the second part of it that I think is really cool, because I do have that analytical side to me, is that from there, it's like a law of averages. It's numbers. You just take that and work it backwards and figure out, how many people do I have to talk to every single day so that I can earn this, so that I can fund this. So those are the pieces that I really grab onto, and the piece that I try to get across to the agents. I love when I get to do the class with the two of you, because you guys share that vision piece so incredibly well. And then I like to come in and just math them to death with spreadsheets.
Tad, let me say to everybody watching, actually, the way you just delivered that was so just smooth. Those were the perfect words in the perfect order. I'm going to actually go back when this is done and re-listen to how you just described what you do. But for those listening who may not even know exactly what we're talking about, Ashley has a formalized system, right? Because systems matter as well. And she'll get into that a little bit more for our agents specifically, to where she can sit down with you and you've already taken some time ahead to do your homework and kind of design your life and know what things cost. And then she sits down with you and actually spits out a list and a number of daily activities you can do. Then you just trust that process. So if you're not exactly sure what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. This is a formalized thing that Ashley can do with you as a real estate professional. It actually applies to everything. You could raise your children with these methods if you wanted to. So yeah, just wanted to plug that there before we kept going.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love the mastery piece of it that you touched on too. Like, it's not a one size fits all. And I think that the spreadsheets that you use, even the materials that you use, that you've created, that were given to you in a certain format, you've tweaked them over the years, making them better. It's one thing I love about your process. Jeremy's on here. Jeremy says, "Good morning. Can't reach a goal consistently if you don't take the time to make a plan." Jeremy's speaking from the choir because he does this every single year for himself and has been very productive in doing that. Ashley, talk to me, and I want you guys out there that are listening, and we got several people on here in different formats. Shoot us some questions. Like, this is something that's second nature for us, but we want you to ask what might help you in this. So throw some questions at us. Ashley, I love that this was an aha moment for me too. Like, several years ago, part of the reason that we jumped on board with Momentum was we looked at, so we were number one in the market. 7 years after Mandy started the company, we took number one market share over a company somebody said we would never overtake. Well, it helped us because the recession knocked that company in the teeth, right? Because they had a lot of agents and it just really affected them way more than us as a startup getting going. But for like several years, we were number one market share, but we went and heard this momentum material, and Mandy and I looked at each other, and even Rennie was around too. And we said, we've done this really without much of a plan. Now we plan, like we would plan the parties and we would plan meetings and we were planning, but there was never an overarching plan. And when I saw it, I was like, oh no, I know what this means. We got to strip it down to bare minimum and start all over. And when you're number one market share, that's not on your mind. It's not but you watch, and I didn't know this at the time, I'm not putting myself in this category. You watch high performing teams, sports teams, they're doing that constantly. Like, when they're the best, the Patriots pop in my mind, the Lakers of old pop in my mind. They were always thinking of rebuilding. They were always thinking about who's next. And that's why they stay at a high level. But I remember the moment like it was yesterday, going to Mandy, oh my gosh, we now have to, if we're going to teach this, we also have to operate like this. So we started all over, basically. And I remember the moment that I had, I'm getting to a question here. Remember the moment that I had, like you just said, where I realized that it's 180 degree different than the way America teaches you. Like, we go to work and get a check, and then we live according to that check. And if we get a raise, we get a nicer car or a bigger apartment or more, take a vacation. As an entrepreneur, thank God, we can say, this is the life I want to live. I need to figure out how to build my business to get there. And that's what you do. It was an aha moment for me too. But I want to ask you this. How many agents really get to that point, do you think? Maybe percentage wise, or do you find that agents have a hard time with that part of the concept, saying, okay, what life do I want to live? Do they have that? I call it courage to say, when we say life, like I want to take this kind of vacation. I want to pay off my house. I want to pay off my car. I want to give to charity. These are not bad things that we're talking about. This leads me to more versus better, but I'm not going there right now. Ashley, do you think agents face this head on when they're thinking about it, or any of you listening out there, are you thinking about it?
So I wonder if it's different agents that get to hear this information from all of us on a consistent basis versus agents in the market in general, whether that be here in South Carolina or across the country or whatever that might look like. I think that agents that are with us hear it so regularly that there's a big percentage of them that really do start to figure out, what does this look like? What do I want? And now how do I go after it? And I think it goes back to what I said before, where it's because they feel supported to be able to go after those things, know that there's people there that are going to support them and help them along the way. They can ask questions, they can tweak things, they can make things better along the way. But I don't know an exact percentage, but I hear it because I do accountability calls with our agents on Monday and Tuesday mornings where we're talking about exactly this. Here's what I'm going to do this week to have conversations with people. Conversations equal income. And we're talking about, did I do what I committed to do for the week? And so I get to hear from them every single week. What is your why? What's important to you? Are you doing the things day in and day out so that you can have those things? I sat last year with one of our agents who's been in the business for years. And they said, I always sat down and figured out what was my why. And I always just wrote in, my why is my family. And she said, that is very important to me, but I never knew how to translate that to my business plan until it all of a sudden clicked this year. And I figured out I want to be able to be the part of the equation between my husband and I that provides the baseball camp and all the travel ball for the year for my son. I want to be able to do the dance costumes and the dance competitions for my daughter. Here's what both of those things cost. I want to be able to take our family on 3 vacations this year. Here's what that costs. I want to be able to spend for Christmas and get all of their Christmas presents. Here's what that costs. Now, all of a sudden, her why had a dollar sign to it that she could very simply say, I do this every single day, not every day of the year. We all need downtime, right? So we're not going to work 7 days out of the week. But if we're going to work 4 days a week, we're going to work 5 days a week, whatever that looks like for your business. Then now she was able to see, if I just do this piece, now my why for my family, I get to provide that for my family. So I don't know the percentage. I don't know if that really answers your question, but I do think that if you have this conversation over and over again, if you're surrounded with people that think this way, then you really can start to dial into all of those pieces and start dreaming about what life can look like.
Yeah, Vince, talk a bit about how it affected you. I know when you first came on board, you not struggled with it, but wrestled with this whole concept as well with your family. And you got a wife who's an entrepreneur, and now you're an entrepreneur, and you came from a military job where that wasn't really part of the program, right? So talk to me a little bit about how it impacted you, if it did.
Yeah, earlier I think you mentioned courage, right? The courage to get out of the military for me was all the courage I had at the time, or I thought I had, right? And there was no, entrepreneurialism was terrifying, right? I went out and got several jobs because I could, right? And flash the resume and then nail the interview, and now you're our whatever guy, and then what I realized I was doing is I wasn't thinking in unlimited terms. Right. So I was just reflecting back. I pulled it up actually. In order to create a life of abundance, like we believe, you must train to think in unlimited terms. And what Ashley's done is when she said it, the life you choose, not the life your job chooses for you. Right. So because this industry and this applies to anyone that's running any entrepreneurial path. If you think in unlimited terms, for me, it just opened up my whole mind. And then I slowly started refilling my courage tank. And then when I'm learning what Ashley's consulting, because it's really a consultation about, oh man, this is like math. And these are just actions that lead to results. And if I think unlimited, the excuses go away. I stop playing not to lose. I start playing to win. And it changed everything for me. I mean, my wife quit her job and now she's running her own business, a lot in part to these concepts that I believe through momentum. And momentum, if you're out there, is our belief in how we train, identifying your vital daily activities and thinking in a world of abundance and not scarcity, and doing a lot of the things that Ashley's consulting, but she's the foundation of that for sure.
Yeah, Jeremy, this is living by design, not by accident. He doesn't work weekends. He says he worked 0 Sundays in the past 2 years, and if he isn't saying it right here about what that doubling business means, but he wasn't making 10,000 and now he's making 20,000. It's significant impact in his life and business. I think I should say too, I feel compelled. Where's their shouting? Is that the office, Ashley? It sounds like people are business consulting in the hallway. It doesn't matter. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like you weren't like in the middle of a serious situation you need to evacuate. You're okay?
I'm okay as far as I know.
All right, good. Well, you just let us know if you need to go away, and then we'll just take this to the parking lot if we have to. I think it's worth saying now that if there's anybody on here that's listening, because I know we have these people, that is an employee. Like, I struggle with this for a long time. Like, if you're an employee and you feel like that's just what I do, there's nothing, we're not saying there's anything wrong with that by design, because when you decide, you have to choose, right, Vince? Like, the total entrepreneurial life didn't tickle your fancy at first, right? You still tell me you prefer this hybrid of it. So if you're an employee, don't feel bad, because the people that have taken this entrepreneurial risk is a big thing. Like, there might not be room for that in your world right now. The agents that sit with Ashley, they're all in. Like, there's no fallback plan. There's no, this plan that they make is like, it's all or nothing in a sense, right? So keep those things in mind. People often say to my wife, like, she owns these businesses, and man, how romantic is that? Like, how beautiful is, well, her name's on every note. Like, we have all the risk, we have all the exposure, and all of that is part of being an entrepreneur. So weigh all of that out. And I love actually hearing you say, because I struggle with this at night sometimes, like, are people really getting it? That they can sit with you. I mean, I can't put my mind around it, how excited it makes me to hear you itemize the things with people. It gets me choked up, like, that they can conquer in the next 12 months. And if they take the time, and we'll talk about this next, like, they say to themselves, I'm going to go sit down with Ashley. Because tell me how you do this, Ashley. You have classes initially, and then you go one-on-one. What's the whole process of the life you choose or business consulting? How does it go now?
Yeah, so now I've kind of shifted into doing these more as workshops, and everybody has to have 2 things completed before they come in for the workshop. One is to watch the recording of the life you choose. And Tad, I think that it's the one that you sat down and did with me. So they have to pay attention, listen to that, get that foundational piece, and then they need to add up their financials. And I try to give them a very easy way to do it. I told them I avoided this when I had to sit down and do it. And then I learned you pull 30 days of your checking account, 30 days of your credit card. You've got 90% of your year. There might be some yearly expenses that you have to add in there, but you're almost done. And it takes 20 minutes, and you save some money because you cancel subscriptions that you're not using anymore. So it's well worth it. So they have to come in the door with those 2 numbers. And then basically when you talk about building a business foundation, business planning, business consulting, whatever words you want to attach to it, we had pieces in a lot of different directions. So we had this document to add up all of those expenses. And then you went over here to another document to figure out what are the vital activities. You went to another spot to figure out how am I going to have conversations. We call those your pillars of business or your marketing channels. Everything was in a different place. And I'm a person where if I've got to open up 7 different things to get my plan, then I'm not going to use it day in and day out. So my vision for it was to put it all in one place. And everybody who knows me knows that I love to make some spreadsheets. So I took all of those pieces and put it into one place. So now you can track if open houses are having attendance and if you're able to have some of those people turn into buyers and sellers for you. You can look at your financials. You can look at your business financials, not just your personal. You can look at how far along am I to my progress. There's a visual that shows you where's my business coming from. So if you don't know where your business is coming from, then you don't know which things to pay more attention to, things to cut out completely, double down on another pillar. I put it all just in one place. And so when you come in for the workshop, all I'm really doing is teaching you how to plug your numbers in and then where to find all of your vital activities that you need to do day in and day out. And you'll walk out knowing, how many people do I need to talk to every single day in order to earn this amount, which we call your entrepreneur's mantra. It's unacceptable for my business to earn less than X amount of dollars. And you start with this huge piece and you walk out of the room going, I got to talk to 4 people a day and here's the things I need to do. And at the end of the year, you'll be able to get to that goal that you had in mind.
And I got to jump in, Tad. I've heard people say, Vince, that sounds great. That sounds easy. And I look at it and I go, you haven't tried it yet. Like they're saying it in a sense of like, oh yeah, it all sounds good. That's not really how it works. No, that's exactly how it works. It quite literally is exactly how it works. So, sorry, just.
No. And I was thinking the same thing. Like some of these folks that are listening, some of you out there I saw Kat Fandel is on here. There's a few of you that are on here every time. If you've done this process, I would love to hear from a user and like an end user. Hey, it worked. Hey, it's broken. If you say, hey, it's broken, we're going to have to talk, right? We're going to go deep with that. But is it working? And I think it comes down to like, if these folks I think in a way, getting into real estate is too easy. Like, so you pass a test, which is harder than it used to be, thank God. But you take this test and you get a license sent to you and you are free to do business. Right, you're open your small world, right, and your small business is open. I wish they had to buy an ice cream store and operate an ice cream store for 3 months or 6 months, because the business planning that you'd have to do for that, the marketing, the upfront work you would have to do, the rent that you'd have to pay, the electricity, getting people in, the competition that you deal with. In real estate, you really can just exist and not do any of that, and kind of, we call it react. Tom Ferry said it this morning. I listened to his thing this morning. He said next year, 2025, this is great news, by the way. 2025 is going to be 12.5%. Almost everybody agrees, 12.5% better than your business is this year. If you do exactly the same thing, the market is going to take you. I'm sorry, David Scott. The market is going to be better by 12.5%. That means if you did exactly the same thing, odds are you'll do 12.5% more. Tom Ferry said that's not acceptable. Because that's just sitting back and reacting and doing. What we're looking for is by design. Take the time to put in the work. I mean, you own your own business. Spend a few hours on it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir because probably the people that are on here are doing it. And a lot more, it sounds like actually I'm happy to hear a lot more are actually, because we're talking about it so much, are doing it. But this is the beauty of it. And David, my coach, tells me this. If you follow this process, everything, all the other pieces make sense. Accountability. I see people trying to do accountability, Ashley, and we even struggle with this. Like, how do you do it really? Like, how do you hold another human being accountable if there's not a plan? Like, if you can't look at them and say, hey, you didn't do your stuff, and you're telling me that what you're telling me is the plan that we made is not as important as you not doing the stuff. This is accountability. If you don't have a plan, you say you didn't make your calls, and what are you going to do? Fine them $20? It doesn't make. The classes that you take are by design because it fits what you decide that you need to do, right, Ashley? Is that how it goes? I mean, I have a comment here from somebody I've never heard of before. Let me show this. I set an amount of conversations I needed to have to live the life I wanted to live. I figured out how many open houses that meant I needed to have, and I'm quite literally right on track. It works. Lawton, I'd love to hear it when you say you're on track. Are you on track because you've done the things that you are, or your results are on track? I'd love to hear which you're talking about there. Lawton is a distant relative of mine that's had some success early on in real estate. But Ashley, I'm sorry, I'm like Vince. I get super over the top passionate about it's right here on a silver platter. And here's what I hear. experienced agents that are struggling with the market that I love. Like, I want to hug their necks every time I see them, and they're going, this year has just been, it's just been kind of, well, take freaking control of it. Like, let's do 80 open houses. Let's make the calls. Let's do whatever your gift is, whatever your strength is. Sit with Ashley and figure that out. Ashley, am I crazy?
No. So I couldn't wait to add in where you just said, the prediction is 12.5% better next year, right? So if you're an agent that's cruising along, you're like, great, 12.5% better. What happens if in 2026 they tell you it's going to do 20% worse? So what we want, just like you said, take control of this. So Lawton is an amazing example of somebody who sat down, did his plan with me, decided here's how many conversations I need to have every single day. Now Lawton hits open houses like nobody's business. He's doing them on the weekdays. Anybody's got a vacant listing, he's doubling up on the weekends, and he hosts an incredible open house. He's amazing at getting people's information to follow up with them. And he just knows sometimes I'm going to have 0 and sometimes I'm going to have 15. But if I hold this many, I'll get to talk to this many people and I'll be able to reach, this number that I want to be able to reach. He's doing that, and it doesn't follow the market because every single day people need houses to live in. And people need to sell a house so they can be somewhere else. That need is never going away. You don't have to tie your business to just what the market is doing. Can the market go up? Yes. Can it go down? Yes. But if you're doing consistent activities, then you're going to have more conversations with the people that need your help. And so now your business isn't on that roller coaster that other people are riding. And just the last thing that I'll kind of chime in with, the thing that we try to get people to tune into, right, is that if on a daily and weekly basis, you are filling one or all of these 4 buckets, then you're off the real estate roller coaster. You're now in control of your business. Those 4 buckets are, what am I doing this week for lead generation? What am I doing to convert and have conversations with buyers and sellers? So appointments on the books. What am I doing for my client transaction? So taking care of things, getting to the closing table. We've all got a checklist of what has to happen with the lenders and the attorneys. And then what am I doing for my own personal and business development? So how am I going to get better? How am I going to be in tune with what's around the corner? What else can I put into my business to make me better at what I do and able to serve my clients at a higher level? And if you are doing those 4 activities on a weekly and daily basis, then you don't have to have a seat on the roller coaster.
But let's be honest, things still, like, there are still hot times, cold times. There's still, you get 3 people in a row say no, and then 2 people, and you still feel it, right, Ashley? But you can have confidence if you have a plan that at the end of the day, everything will work out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just the law of averages. Mike Fiebernitz talks about that law of averages. Nobody knows their numbers better than Mike does, and he'll know exactly what he's got to do. And at the end of the year, it'll work out, because sometimes you have 0 people that say yes, and sometimes, you have a handful.
And this time of year, I have to tell people this too. Like, it does not matter. Somebody created this crazy calendar that we live by. Like, December 31st does not mean that if you get a deal on the 5th of January, that it wasn't worth it. I mean, you just got to kind of ignore the calendar and just do the things. Like, I want to show these events, and I'll get to your comment, right? Love says both things. The actions that I set when I started have led to having this conversation. So my numbers are remarkably close to what the business plan said they would be. LOL. And I bet, I know Lawton, I bet he was, I mean, we're all skeptical when we do this the first time, right? Is it really going to work? And you hear people say you got to put in the time and effort. The front end is harder than the back end or whatever. And this is, Vince, go ahead and say your comment, because I'm going to forget if I don't. What were you going to say?
No. Let's keep going. I've got a sticky note full, but I want to stay on Lawton for a second.
Okay.
I don't want to assure anyone listening, because I'm the hostile host out of the 2 of us. I hired the kid. The kid's last name has nothing to do with this. It's the time he's put. I assure you, and I'll fight you over it if you don't believe me, but this guy has showed up. He's in there every day and he's doing it. I wish his name was different, because he's a great classic case of just sit down, do what Ashley and you come up with in this manner, and watch what happens. This guy didn't even live in this area. He came back to this area, after college, no real database or sphere whatsoever. And he went out and he found it himself. And he's on track for a really awesome first year. So keep going.
Yeah,
Dad,
it's like this is the first time in my whole life. Lawton is my son, just FYI, for those of you that don't know that. If you're crazy and you live in Germany, you didn't know it. It is the first time in my life that I wish he wasn't, in a way. I mean, I love the guy. I mean, I wanted to be my son. I say that tongue in cheek, but he actually has done way more than I did when I did business in the beginning. Like, he's much more disciplined than I am, and I'm super proud of that.
we have other examples, but even right now, Lawton has not missed an episode. From 10 to 11 on Mondays, he's going to see what he can pull from these conversations with other agents. I'm sure one of his actions as a brand new guy in our market is learning from others. That's one of his vital actions. So I have so much written down. One thing I want to talk about real quick on this same point is wins, Ashley, daily wins. So you're not hearing us say you need to close 3 houses a day or 7 houses a month or whatever. We're literally talking about conversations. We're talking about growing your database minuscule amounts. So if you haven't heard anything, hear this. It's not, you know how you hear it's not timing the market, it's time in the market when you're talking about stocks and investing. Same thing with this. Our coach would tell us it's time on a task over time. Okay, spending time on those tasks over time. So when you walk out of there, you can have the best life consultation with Ashley ever. There's a second phase we probably won't have time to get into now, but actually then guides you and coaches you on how to get really, really great at a few things that you've identified in your consultation to then lead to that income, right? So it's all about these tiny little wins over time. We sound like broken records, but holy cow, it just flipping works. I'll pause.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I think about somebody who does this many open houses. If he decides that he's going to do, you're talking about mastery. If he decides to go to the next level next year or the next year after that and continues on this path, how much better will he be? How much higher will his conversion rate be? And what will he be experiencing then? I got to get this point right here because Jeremy if I don't stand up right now, I'm going to jump out of my chair because I just can't. This is so important. And this is right exactly. Jeremy's on here every week too, by the way. And the guy's got a little bit going on. He's got 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, and that are all legit. So one of the keys is time off. And here's my thing on this, Jeremy. Here's my thing on this. This is why I say sit with Ashley, because here's what my philosophy was when I met Mandy. Mandy, at this time it wasn't Fulford, but when I met Mandy, she said, "What do you want to do next year?" And this is my business plan: as much as I can. I want to convert everybody I talk. I thought I was a big man on campus. Like, everybody I talk to, I want them to buy or sell something, and I'm trying to make as much as I can but here's what happens when you don't set limits, when you don't have a plan, and when you can't. You know what Jeremy does? He says no when he gets to a certain point. And what a valuable lesson to learn at any time in your business. He says here, the next comment, he says this: "I'm doing my business plan. I just added up my days off, including weekends, 121 days off." So Ashley's not talking about working every. You figure that out when you're sitting down with Ashley. Like, how many days are you going to work? Because if especially as the market, somebody just said on one of the things I listened to, we just experienced the worst market that we've ever had this past year. Prices, the volume of sales of this past year, 2024, is going to equal 1995. Not even 2008, Great Recession, by the way. 1995. It's a hard real estate market that we just came through. Does Jeremy know it? Well, probably not, because he's been doing his daily activities. But most of us really recognize it's been a rough market. So if you don't take time off, when it starts getting better, you're never going to say no if you don't have a limit. You're going to accept every challenge because you think you can. And before you know it, you'll be in the hospital. And you won't have a wife or husband. You won't know your children. I'm sorry to get personal, but you've got to take time off. Jeremy, thanks for hitting that. And you're a great example of that, buddy. I'm proud of you for not working on Sundays. That's a thing for him, and he and Chick-fil-A are doing it. I love it. TJ O'Brien, look, another faithful. Ashley, I know you want to tell a joke or two. This is such a great reminder that goes through new and experienced stages. Ashley's super proactive with her approach and is constantly bringing ideas to us that she feels can move us forward. I appreciate that. He also says to get super busy as agents, do the necessary things. And here's a guy, I think TJ's in year 20, has a pretty successful team, if those of you that don't know. And of course, he's He's trying to keep you hired here, Ashley, and I appreciate that because you're on the chopping block, right?
I feel like he's going to cash in some favors after writing those on there. I already know, Tad.
I've got a great question for Ashley, but look at what TJ said. We get super busy as agents and sometimes forget to do the necessary things. So just a reminder to all agents out there, let's replace busy with the word productive, and the rest of that sentence is irrelevant, right? So we just get super productive, and then the necessary things happen, right? But real quick for Ashley, what do you see different in agents after consultation with you, post life planning, post business planning? How are the conversations 3 months down the road? Are they more hopeful? How does it feel? What have you noticed?
Sometimes more hopeful. Sometimes I can see that they haven't opened their business plan again. So that piece is what they have to kind of walk out the door and know that they're going to pay attention to it. I always tell them when we finish our session, if today's the only day that you have this open, it's not going to work. So this has to be something that you're going to work in every single day. I don't know if Lawton has that particular plan open every single day, but I know that he's on top of his open houses and how many people he needs to talk to. I know that Jeremy is paying attention to his consistent content that he has on YouTube so that he can just talk to people. It's all this is. How are we going to talk to people? So sometimes I can see a great change. I sat down with one of our new agents a year ago, and she was going to build on social media. And she said, what else can I do to be able to grow these channels? And I gave her a list of 5 agents to follow in addition to our other training pieces. And I said, follow this person, this person, this person. And that's going to help you figure out what you want to do or what you don't want to do in order to grow your channel also. When I finished that meeting, it's the only time I had somebody do this. They stood up and they said, a year from now, you're going to be telling people to follow my channel. And it didn't even take a year, 6 months in, and she is on the list of people that I tell our other agents that want to build on social media, go follow this channel. So that's really amazing to see. So yes, sometimes there's just great turnaround from it, and I can physically watch that person grab their business by the reins and push forward.
Well, you have to. Here's a good comment from Lawton. That'll go without any comment at all. I think that's probably very. And then Jeremy says, I agreed. Doing the weekly accountability is the best way to start my week to make sure I stay focused. Accountability is no joke. Like, Ashley, basically what you're sitting down with someone is saying, I don't know if you say this out loud, but do I have the permission? You're telling me this is super important to you, right? Right. Well, do I have the permission to hold you accountable to these things, even when it's no fun? Even when it might be, hey, you hadn't opened it in a while. No wonder you're not doing it. So you have to kind of ask for that permission. But let's remember that most of our lives are not operating under accountability. Most of our lives, most of these people that we talk to, including ourselves, are living a little bit willy-nilly, not according to a plan, just doing what we do. And for us to have an area of our life that we're like Vince and I talked about the other week, cold plunges. Like he said, hey, why don't we jump in the pool and then get in our hot tub and let's start that next week. And I'm like, wait a minute. That means you're going to probably call me and say, have you done it? And I'm going to not be okay with that all the time. Right. So I said, I'm not ready for that yet. We don't have accountability. So we do have to give these people a little bit of grace. Right. Because at some point we're going to say, hey, this is what, and you told me this is why. And you remind them of their why. The way you described it, Ashley, with that person that you were itemizing the thing, it went from family to bing, 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 bing about family. That is gold. I got a couple comments. Let me do these real quick and then we'll get some more comments. Got to brag on Lawton. He came and sat down for an hour first week in the business and was a sponge. Thank you. He's got a great mother. That's all I'll tell you about that.
If you're an experienced agent and maybe there's some insecurity in there with even doing this or sitting down with other experienced agents, let that go. You have to get yourself to be mastery-based, to be learning-based, to be coachable. I don't care if you've been doing it for 20 years. You know in the back of your head, if you're not doing the things and if your business is slower, here's some very basic things. We have to kind of get over ourselves sometimes and go, hey, I could do a consult even though I'm 15 years into this, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's the pain of preparation, the pain of regret. It's very fine if you say, I'm okay with the way things are going. If you're okay with the way things are going, if I hear you say you're not okay with it, I'm probably going to recommend this. But if you're okay with the way things are going, that's fine. If that comfort or what your experience is not bad enough to change it, then it's okay. Then this is off the table. Hey, I've got a really good one here. And I'm doing a T-shirt. I'm making a T-shirt that says #scraps. Because last week on the episode, Lawton said, I'm just want everybody's scraps. Like, I'm just living off of people's scraps right now. And that's such the right mentality for every single real estate agent, by the way. If you look at it the right way. Here's one actually that you'll love. Jessica. I'm a new agent. I just want to say I'm so grateful for all the resources available to help me become productive and successful. Ashley's the best. So I bet she's one that's not afraid of accountability.
I met her for the first time last week, and she was right in, did all of her homework to walk into a business planning workshop and just start rocking and rolling.
She's one we're going to have on the show 12 months from now. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
How about 12 days from now? I'm not worried about that. I mean, we can do it now. How about this one, Erin Parker?
I know. I love this. Erin just did her first workshop with me a week or two ago. And so now I'm just so excited. There maybe is nobody that's more appreciative and grateful as Erin. She takes the time to send the thank yous, to everybody. So thank you, Erin, for chiming in.
This is especially good if you saw episodes with Erin Parker a few episodes ago. You know that she's not going to have any problem talking to people, generating business, and things like that. So for her to understand that I need to formalize a system in this and not just willy-nilly, as Tad said, which I love, she could willy-nilly it and have a great year, right? But she realizes, no, we're going to get this thing how it's supposed to be built. So yeah, love that.
And Erin, you can't beat yourself up because this is not normal. I think a small percentage of people live by design. Most live by reaction or by accident, and we all fall into that. Listen, here's a guy talking to you that I thought about it this morning. I have a problem with my diet, and it's always hanging over my head. And why don't I get some accountability and fix it? I mean, I'm preaching to you guys about doing it for your business. I don't even do it in all areas of my personal life. So we all are guilty as charged. So I appreciate you being willing to say that, but don't feel bad about it. Just do what you can. Do the part that keep taking steps. Make mastery important and understand. I think you get it. I think you understand how important it is, and you'll figure it out. Listen, everything else, if you know Erin, she's done a few pretty high level things in her life.
She's got a PhD.
Talk to her. Yeah, talk to her about her resume. You'll be very impressed. Here's a couple more. I got Jeremy says, Lawton came in. Lawton, I'm so sorry. If you fail in real estate after this call, it's because we put you on a pedestal, dude. Knock yourself right off the pedestal and go get some more scraps. We're just praising you today, but you've done a lot of things, so we appreciate that. And I don't want to jinx you. Keep rocking. Like, if you don't have one more, go get it. Jessica says yes. Erin Parker says she loves us. Of course what'd you say?
I said we love you too, and Jessica, we'll have you on the show.
Yes. Yeah. See, here we go. This is a great example, and I still suck at this, Jeremy, if I can say that word. Now 2 words got to be edited out. Ashley cussed earlier, and I cuss now. But yes, thank you, Jeremy, for bringing that up.
If you're listening to all this, and Ashley, sorry, we don't turn this into the Tad and Vince show. You're just. This is the perfect little triangle here we've got going on. If you're listening and you're like, this sounds simple, but it sounds hard. Well, that's because it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be very uncomfortable. So we look for, in our market specifically, about 4,000 agents. We're looking for like a 10% area of thinkers, right? So this is very abnormal thinking. A lot of people talk about this. A lot of people understand this. Very few actually execute this.
Yeah, but that's why there's a high percentage of people or a low percentage of people that are doing it. That when you hear, hey, only half the people. I think I heard some crazy number this morning when I was listening of how many people didn't do a transaction in 2024. Like that's a little bit ridiculous, So this is anything that's by design is harder than by accident, except for when you get the results, and then it's harder to do it by accident. Ashley, what else should we touch on? We've got about 5 minutes left, and anybody else want to have a question out there, or Vince, you want to throw any other thoughts. My thing would be get with Ashley. If you happen to be watching or listening now and you're not part of our organization. You notice I took my Remax pin off because it's not a Remax commercial. Ashley will do the business consulting with you regardless. I just sent it to an agent not at our company, the one that told me they hadn't done it yet. I sent her the consultation, the life you choose. And if you want it, all you got to do is ask. We're here to have everybody live the life they want to live by building a business to support it. Everybody. So if you're willing, ask for it. Tell me, there you go.
So the only other piece I want to add that I think is equally as important as everything we just talked about is who you're surrounded with. And this chat just makes me smile so big because just those people that are chiming in is an incredible group to be surrounded by, because you just have to think in the same way. You just have to be like-minded when you're hearing this day in and day out. And those are the people you're having conversations with. I mean, Erin, who came into her very first business planning workshop. Then we've got Jeremy and TJ who've been doing this for a couple of decades, and their door is always open, and they're willing to come in and talk to the other agents about what they do and how they have conversations. I mean, it's just an open playbook. But I know that I shared this when I first started as an agent, that my feeling being in this business, but specifically being with you guys as a team, was that I was going to have to try very hard not to succeed. And that was my mindset. It was everything is right here. Is it always going to be easy? Are there going to be things that are going to make me uncomfortable? Yeah, yes, probably there are. But I have everything in front of me to be able to succeed. And so that just, I think, gave me the drive to just want to jump in and tackle it and work on a plan and know how many people to talk to and know how I was going to talk to those people.
That's excellent. I just noticed that Paige Bird loved our conversation. If she didn't chime in, but if you need any more accountability or any more nervousness, I'm glad you didn't find that out at the beginning of the show. Paige, thank you for listening. What a great example. Like I've said to Lawton a few times, you know how many open houses Paige did year one? Year one, holy cow, year one. I think that's not now 20 something years ago.
I think Lawton's trying to take the record, though. I'm pretty sure, Todd, he's going after it. He's going to have the new.
I like his aspiration. I like his aspiration.
We talk a little bit about more versus better. Paige does a thing where, she was saying when she was getting started, she's done a ton of open houses. So when we talk mastery, she got to the point to where the open house directionals made sure they had her name on it. And she's getting calls like, I have no idea who you are, but I see your name in my neighborhood every weekend. It's been 6 months and I'm ready to sell my house now. That's mastery of that pillar of business, open houses, getting to that point. So better versus more. Keep that in mind, Lawton. We'll see what the record looks like.
Yeah. Love mentoring. I'm not afraid to share what works because it won't out hustle me at what I do. And that's the key, is find what works for you. And that's the exciting thing about all of this for all of us. Ashley, thank you so much I often feel like at night that, and TJ's held back a lot today, and he's been very kind to you, and I appreciate that, TJ. I often feel about you and Vince both because of the roles you play in our organization. I feel a burden for what you might carry for agents. Like, this is a lot. Like Vince is tasked with drawing the right people to our group, and you're tasked with, at the handoff, so to speak, taking those people and investing in them with your resources to get them where they want to be. And that is a lot. And I just want to say from my heart, thank you for doing that. Because there are agents, like my son is one, and we'll just be honest. There are people out there whose lives are not the same because of what you've done at work. And I love that. And you do it so well. You do it with grace. You take time off, which I appreciate. Like, I love you going to the lake and going up to the witch hunt in Salem and all of the things that you do. But thank you so much for who you are. If anybody out there wants to reach out to Ashley, she's an open book. She would love to help you. Vince is the same way. But Ashley, you've been great. You have any parting words for our show? Or Vince, do you have anything you want to say as we log off here?
Yeah, Ashley's going to go last because she always has one more thing. She's the one more thing queen.
I'm ready.
I want to just to follow up what Tad just said. I would not feel comfortable in my role trying to attract talent and coachable folks if I knew I didn't have something like you in place after me. I just simply wouldn't do this job. If everything I said is going to happen was not possible to happen with them putting in the work, I wouldn't do this. So knowing you here, knowing our whole team, Harmony from our directors of hospitality, everybody, it's really that simple for me. So that's how important you are. So keep that in mind. Thanks for what you do, really.
You just emphasized her point of surrounding yourself with the right people, which is really cool. Like you just turned that around on her. And we didn't even mention Launchpad today, which is another incredible tool if you want to know about that. But Ashley, you have the last word like you always do. Tell us something profound.
Every meeting I have the one more thing. It's now what I'm known for. I don't know if it's profound, but I'll tell you that I get to focus my time and attention with people that really truly want this because of what you guys are doing. So Vince is finding people that want to grab on to what we have to offer. And Tad, you do the same thing because I know that you're still partially in that role also. So all of this is just a whole team dynamic. And I'm so grateful to be part of it. I didn't realize how hungry I was to be surrounded by people like this until I made the change and came here in 2020. And all of a sudden I felt like I was myself again. So I love that I get to be a part of this and see these agents just do amazing things. I'm happy to be here to help.
Awesome. If you are looking for a gem of a human being to hang out with, call Ashley because she's really that person. Ashley, thank you. Vince, thank you. Rise Up Nation, thank you for being here today. If you have any questions, we're right here. Next week, by the way, I can't believe I'm actually able to do this because I've remembered. We have a panel, Vince, you don't know this yet, but we've got a panel of some rock star broker owners like Mandy out there. I've got one from Houston, two from Houston. Got Tyler Morton's going to be on the show, Charlie Foxworth, Nimesh Patel. We've got just a great group. Todd Stock is going to be on. So there's going to be more faces. But we're going to be talking about all things real estate. We might talk about the election. We might talk about AI. We might talk about who knows what. So come back next week at 10 o'clock. I know Lawton and Jeremy will be here. I'm sure Aaron will be here. I'm sure Ashley and her group will be here. But thank you, Rise Up Nation, for tuning in. We love you, and we will see you next episode. Thanks, Vince.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.